Hi, I'm Pietro Boselli, and I'm here to talk about my PhD, apparently. My PhD was, like every PhD, a very specific subject, specialized in fluid mechanics and thermodynamics, which are two branches of physics, for those who don't know that. And specifically, I was using this knowledge to design turbines. Turbines essentially are machines that extract energy from a fluid. They could be wind turbines, they can be gas turbines, like in jet engines, for example, or they can be steam turbines. Steam turbines are used in big power plants. So, for example, if you have a nuclear power plant or a fuel-powered power plant, then you heat up the water, and then this becomes steam and expands in a turbine which extracts this energy. And it becomes mechanical energy, and then that turns into electricity. And this is how we power our cities, essentially. And I was actually writing computer programs to design these turbines. So I would essentially write a mathematical model of how the fluid was flowing into the turbines, and a mathematical model to describe the geometry of these turbines. And then I essentially wrote these programs to automatically improve the design of the turbines. At the same time, because of the heavy mathematical background of my research, I was also teaching mathematics in the engineering department. I started teaching when I was 21 years old. Really, really young. I mean, I'm 30 now and I kind of look younger. So imagine when I was 21 and I walked into a class. I had 100 students in front of me and I thought, what is this kid doing? Get out of the way, you know? So I had to work really hard, to gain credibility. But, I always took it really seriously. And for me, it was a huge experience. Suddenly, you're invested in this role. People look up to you. You're a reference figure. So you need to grow up and do it fast and really, figure things out. At the time that I was doing my research, there were probably maybe 3-4 people in the world who could understand what I was doing. But none of them actually had the proficiency to go as in-depth as I was on that specific topic. This is the nature of research. So you're pretty much on your own, with all the previous knowledge that you can access, but you need to create something new. It's the ultimate creative endeavor because you're really advancing human knowledge. If you think about it, it's always like step by step, and it's like a small increments. It really requires a long time and a lot of effort. In my life, I've always been an advocate of versatility, maintaining an interdisciplinary approach to life. So if you have different talents, you should exploit all these talents. A lot of the times, people just set themselves on a very narrow path. I invested all these years in engineering, so now the only choice I have is to be an engineer. I feel like this view is very restrictive. Everything you do in life, no matter how diverse, it can only enrich you as a person. I'm really against, these sayings like, jack of all trades, master of none. I think there's nothing further from truth. Think about it. If you are very good at one thing and you're very good at another thing, surely this enriches you as a person. My background as a model put me in touch with all these creatives and all this craziness of the industry. This is very different from the academia, and the scientific research. I feel like it opened my mind in ways that I wouldn't have been able to be exposed to if I only stuck to one thing. In fact, I was someone who was always against social media. I never had Facebook. From the very beginning of it, the concept of it seemed so silly to me. I was like, why would anyone want to have Facebook and put the pictures? It's ridiculous. The reason that I started my Instagram was because there were so many fake accounts using my modeling pictures. I kind of wanted a real profile to be there for people to refer to other than someone else representing me or pretending to be me. But I didn't expect any of this, of course. I try to stay engaged in the link to academia with giving talks, giving lectures, a couple of TED Talks. The benefit of having a public figure is that you can talk about any topic. And this is what I love. I can do a talk about technology and the impact of society. I can do a talk about motivation and the philosophy behind it, or about versatility in life, or mental health. I just sit down like the nerd that I am and just do the research, put together the thoughts, and it applies to so many different branches of knowledge, like fitness, for example. Because of my great passion for fitness, a lot of people always ask me for advice on how do you do this, how do you do that. So for me, that having a big audience, like on social media, meant that I could actually create content that people can refer to and is useful knowledge, carry on what I was doing before in terms of educating people and giving a message, a positive message. Being a model as a child comes really natural. The first job that I did was Armani Junior campaign. And I still remember the day I went for my very first casting. I was there with my mother and they just made me try on some t-shirts. The memory I have of it is, yeah, that's what you do. As a kid, you think, yeah, I'm doing it because this is what you have to do. You know, like you don't question it. And remember also the first time they introduced me to Mr. Armani. He was in this like meeting room. It was the head of a table. And I walked in and they introduced me to this like nice old man. Vogue Bambini in Italy, which is the Vogue for kids. On the cover of it, I was like on the posters in the street in Milan. I did so many jobs and my friends would see me, you know, and come, oh, look, you're on the newspaper or things like that. And it never goes to your head as a child because you think it's a natural thing to do. And I feel like I'm kind of privileged to have started a career in modeling so young because I grew up very natural in front of the camera. I never gave it so much importance in a way. I feel like people who start modeling when they're teenage years is a bit more a vulnerable time in terms of self-confidence, in terms of what it actually means to be in such a competitive environment, or what it actually means in terms of being in front of the camera and relying solely on your image. Whereas when I was 18, I was doing Milan Fashion Week and I was doing the photo shoots and everything. For me, it was just like a thing that I do. I never even thought of it as a career. For me, it was never a question whether I wanted to pursue my studies and, you know, how much effort I wanted to put in that, which was a lot. It's something that has always been there for me, and only growing up I realized how much I was into it and the fact that I should be proud of it. I was ashamed of the fact that I was a model when I was at university. I didn't want anybody to know because I thought, oh yeah, people will just look down on it, or you know, I don't want to be that guy that, you know, just relies on their looks. So I almost made it a point to be, you know, the number one in my faculty. You know, everybody in the department knew me. Oh yeah, that's the guy who's gonna get all A's. What they didn't see is the work that I put into that. And I always say, if they knew how many hours I spent studying, my first instinct that I had of hiding my modeling career, my modeling pictures, I didn't want people to know, is because there is a prejudice, which is actually very ingrained in society. At the time, I didn't really analyze it, almost like a gut instinct that people shouldn't know about it. When it slowly started coming out, there were actually cases in which people would, you know, make fun of it or put it down, especially some professors. Just ridicule it. The fact that I was a model, the fact that I wanted to hide it was right. You know, I was doing the right thing because obviously this is a thing, you know, it's a stigma almost. And it's only when I finished my undergrad degree that I realized that that was not something that I should hide. It was something that I should be proud of. And that happened to me specifically when I was putting together my first CV. Every possible academic achievement that you could achieve, I had done it. You know, I won scholarships, I won prizes, I had the top grades in everything. And then I went to speak to one of the career advisor at our university. And the first thing that he pointed out was like, well, this is all very good, but you have no work experience. I started working at 7 years old. At 10 years old, I took my dad on holiday, like a skiing holiday paid by me. Like, I've been working all my life. I actually have been working all my life. And he's like, well, why didn't you put it down in your CV? I was like, well, it's irrelevant. That's what I said. That's what I thought. It's irrelevant that I've been modeling, completely irrelevant. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. You've been dealing with clients, you had agencies, you know, like you had contracts. It shows work ethics. And he said, and if anything, people would be keener to meet you anyway. I've done this. This has been a huge part of my life. Why am I hiding it? And surely now I can, you know, like accept it and make the most of it. Sometimes my students would see my modeling pictures or things like that. They'd be like, oh my God, that's my, that's my mathematics lecturer. Everything seemed so normal at the time, and I never made anything of it until the whole thing went viral on social media. And that made me realize that, yeah, well, maybe my story is worthy of attention. I don't know. I always thought I'm just doing my thing. I never thought, what's so special about it? Because of my physique, people always expect me to have this like inhuman strength and that I could do anything. So they're like, oh, why don't you lift this person above your head? Oh, that's beautiful. Hold it, don't move. Especially the lifting people over my head has become a thing. I don't know why. I've done it at so many shoots. And I think it peaked at the moment where at the Harper Bazaar shoot, I had to lift Jennifer Lopez above my head. But I was inspired by a photo taken in the 80s of Sylvester Stallone. I actually did it. It's not photoshopped. There were mattresses all around because they were scared if, she's kind of expensive if you drop her. It was hilarious. It was amazing, and I don't know, like, I really like the fact that that became a thing.
I'm gonna lay on the ground. You're